Hi choir. Your performance of the anthem, Spirit Come, was a wonderful contribution to our celebration of Pentecost on Sunday. Our next anthem, God of Our Fathers, is a very creative arrangement of the hymn of the same name. The creative part is largely present in the variation in the accompaniment, which you probably already noticed when listening to the anthem earlier this week. Also, the accompaniment has a patriotic flair in response to this weekend being Memorial Day weekend. And here is an interesting fact about the hymn, God of Our Fathers. It's a 19th century American Christian hymn written in 1876 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the United States Declaration of Independence. Interesting fact, isn't it? But I'm sure you all already knew about it. Let's talk about the music. Form. This piece is in verse form, just a repetition of verses like a hymn, because it actually is a hymn, God of Our Fathers. But because it's arranged as an anthem, the arranger uses tried and true arrangement techniques to keep the piece interesting and dramatically compelling. One feature you will notice is the pattern of beginning each verse in unison and then halfway through splitting into harmony. Here's a quick overview of the form. Verse 1, everyone sings together in unison with the second half of that verse in harmony. Verse 2, women in unison and then in harmony. Verse 3, men in unison and then in harmony. And then verse 4, as you can imagine, full choir in unison and then ending that verse in harmony and adding on a couple amens to send it home. And incidentally, it's nice to sing amen at the end of a hymn. You know, when I was growing up, we sang amen at the end of every hymn. And I'm not sure why this has gone out of tradition. But that's a question for another time. Phrasing and breathing. We will follow the phrasing and breathing recommended by the arranger. Sing 4 measures and then breathe. I have added some squiggly arrows in certain places to remind you to keep singing. And let's look at that real fast. So you can see right here at the very beginning, God of our fathers, whose almighty hand, breathe, leads forth in beauty all the starry land. Breathe, of shining worlds, and you can see that squiggly arrow just to remind you to keep going. And so, you know, most of the piece has this 4-measure phrasing with a breath afterwards. But of course, there's always exceptions. So there's 3 exceptions, and let's look at that. Page 2, measure 47, women should breathe as recommended by the arranger. I've made note of this, so you have no excuse if you sing through the measure. I'll be watching. So here it is. Page 2, measure 47. You can see right there, I circled the breath mark, and I tried to cross out the dots of the dotted half note, but was unsuccessful. I added a quarter rest and put a break there between the text. So make sure to breathe right there. That's one of the exceptions. And the 2 other exceptions are at the end of the piece. Because of some high notes at the end of the piece, I thought you could catch a breath before finishing the phrase. Let's look at that. Right here, the bottom of page 3, you can see and glory laud, breathe, praise be ever thine, and glory laud, breathe, and praise be ever thine. Okay? Now you see, the way you're going to sing this is you're going to treat that dotted half note as just a half note with a quarter rest to breathe before singing the word and. Now normally I write that stuff in, but I thought it would look too cluttered if I tried crossing out the dot of the dotted half note and adding a quarter rest. It would just kind of litter up the page. So just watch my conducting. You should be fine. Okay? Legato. There are many instances where you will sing repeated quarter notes. Now this may lead people to sing a little choppy, so be extra mindful about singing legato, which remember is sustaining a full tone from note to note. Remember the difference between sausage singing and legato singing. Sausage singing is like a bunch of linked sausages where you pinch the middle. Like, for example, look at this. We have at the beginning, God of our fathers, God of our fathers who all my... That's sausage singing. You can hear me crescendo, decrescendo, right? Legato means to keep that energy sustained. God of our fathers, whose almighty hand. I just kept the tone going and let my mouth sing those words. So make sure you make an extra effort to sing legato, especially during those quarter notes. Cutoffs. Cutoffs are very clear in this piece. Just make sure you watch me and listen to the section leaders. Dynamics. Very straightforward. Verse 1, mezzo forte. So we start out a nice, strong mezzo forte. Verse 2, when the women sing, that's a women's verse, we go down to mezzo piano. Verse 3, when the men sing, we come back to mezzo forte. And as you could imagine, verse 4, we come to forte. We sing that whole verse forte. And then on the final amen of the whole piece, we use fortissimo. So be mindful of the dynamics, okay? Tempo change. There is a tempo change at the last verse. It broadens out just a bit. Look right here. This is the final verse and the tempo broadens a bit. So make sure that you make that adjustment in your singing. Okay, broaden out that last verse in tempo. Video. Very good job with videos, but I would like to give one more reminder about framing. Remember to frame your shot in the position where you are going to see. A few people were a little off in the framing this week, and I'll call them this week just to talk to them about it. But I wanted to remind you about framing your shot in the position where you're going to sing. It's not just posing for a picture, it's being in the position where you're going to sing. Now let me give you an example, because I made a mistake this week. When I was videoing some people on Wednesday, particularly George, I forgot to ask George to get in the position of how he was going to sing. So he's standing there nice and tall, and then when it came time for him to sing after the musical introduction, he leans forward to get close enough to the music to start singing. And I should have asked him to be in that position before I pressed record on the video. So that was my oversight as a video producer on Wednesday night. And so, George, I hope I didn't embarrass you. I was just giving a tangible example. Make sure you're in the position of where you're going to sing before you push record. All right, that's it. Enjoy making your video, and remember to lift up in prayer our country and its leaders. Okay? Bye-bye, and have a great week.
God of our fathers, whose almighty hand leads forth in beauty all the starry band of shining worlds in splendor through the skies. Our grateful songs before thy throne arise.
Thy love divine hath led us in the past, in this free land by thee our lot is cast. Be thou our ruler, guardian, guide and stay.
His goodness nourish us in peace. Refresh thy people on their toilsome way. Lead us from night to never-ending day. Fill all our lives with love and grace divine, and glory, Lord, and praise Thee ever thine. And glory, Lord, and praise Thee ever thine. Amen.